The Valari archives were vast, spanning moons, orbiting dead suns, etched into unchanging crystal. Their civilization had conquered entropy itself by cataloging every thought, every outcome, every possibility. The past was sacred, the present a pale echo, and the future, well, the future was a forbidden thing. To the Valari, change was risk. Risk was chaos. Chaos was death. And death, for a species that had rewritten even their own biology to persist eternally, was unacceptable. So they preserved. Every decision was referenced against precedent. Every law carved from a template. Every song, color, celebration, approved, recycled, safe. Their lives were elegant, predictable, quiet. Then humans arrived. Not with warships or manifestos. Not with holy texts or weapons humming with malice. No, humans came with backpacks and paint. With laughter that echoed in odd frequencies. With questions that didn't seek answers, only more questions. And children. So many children. The Valari didn't know what to do with the children. Because children are change incarnate. One child in particular, Lena, became the anomaly the archives couldn't bury. She was 6 years old. Bright-eyed. Gap-toothed. She liked to carry stones in her pockets, and she refused to walk in straight lines. Her mother was an ambassador. Her father was an engineer. They had arrived on Valor Prime to negotiate cultural exchange and emotional compatibility metrics. Lena wandered into the lower archive temple on the third day. No one stopped her. Why would they? Children had no access codes. No clearance. But Lena didn't need access. She needed crayons. She opened her satchel and pulled out a handful of them, waxy, vibrant, half-melted. Her favorite was supernova pink. And with the infinite stillness of 10,000 years watching, she began to draw. Right on the crystal floors. Stars with faces. Rivers with wings. Dogs that flew and ate sunlight. People, some with 4 arms, some with none, holding hands in circles and laughing. A Valari scribe named Ethka observed her from the alcove. For 37,000 cycles, Ethka had recorded deviations. Tiny fluctuations. A note played too long. A prayer with an extra syllable. But this was not deviation. This was disruption. He stepped forward. You are defacing the archive. Lena looked up. I'm making it better. He paused. Better is not defined. Well, it is now. Ethka's eye spheres shimmered. Do you comprehend what this chamber holds? It's boring, she said honestly. It's all the same. Everything here's scared. Scared? Of being different. She went back to coloring. Ethka should have stopped her. The protocols demanded it. But something in her voice, a certainty so foreign it was like gravity reversed, kept him still. By the time her mother found her, Lena had drawn an entire mural of impossible tomorrows. The Valari called a summit. Representatives from the Memory Guild, the Stability Consortium, and the Prolonged Continuity Panel convened. Humans were invited. Gently chastised. The word contamination was used. Humanity apologized. Formally. Lena didn't. She just asked if she could have more crayons. The mural couldn't be erased. The crayons had altered the memory crystal itself, embedding not just pigment but concept. The archive had absorbed imagination. The scribes panicked. Lena clapped. Soon other children joined. They weren't invited. But they came anyway. Through airlocks and shuttle ports, down diplomatic halls and abandoned ducts. They carried finger paints. Chalk. Beads and string. One child from Luna Colony brought glitter. It took months to clean up. The Valari have never forgiven glitter. But something happened. In the corners of their eternal archive, walls began to hum. Just slightly. A resonance the old codes couldn't parse. The crystals began refracting color, not just light. The kind of color that wasn't on any spectrum. That suggested new things. Futures. Some scribes tried to quarantine the wing. Others came to watch. Ethka returned every day. He didn't speak. But he started sketching symbols in the margins of reports, small things, meaningless things like spirals or suns. He didn't know why. Only that it felt warm. Then a storm came. Not in the sky, but in the archive's core. A dataquake. A fracturing of logic. The old memory lattice rejected the new concepts. Entire chambers locked themselves. Some collapsed. The children were evacuated. The scribes demanded humans leave. But Lena refused. She stood before the prime crystal gate and drew one last picture. Herself and Ethka, holding hands, under a sky with 2 suns and one word scribbled above in shaky lettering. Tomorrow. And something changed. Not the gate. Not the archive. Ethka. He stepped forward. And he danced. He didn't know how. Valari didn't move like that. But he moved anyway, halting, awkward, uncertain. The gate shimmered. Then opened. Not to destruction. But to something new. A chamber no one had designed. Inside was a room of light and motion, full of unstructured data that pulsed like music. Memory and hope tangled. Nothing was labeled. Nothing was finished. It was beautiful. The Valari called it the anomaly. Humans called it a classroom. The archives didn't collapse. They changed. They grew. From that day forward, the Valari created a new order, the unwritten sector. A space left intentionally blank, to be filled only by children. By stories not yet told. By Crayon. Lena returned every year. So did Ethka. Together they wrote dreams that logic couldn't hold. They danced in corridors that once silenced breath. They made up languages and never translated them. And over time, the unthinkable happened. The Valari laughed. Not often. Not well. But truly. When asked why they allowed it, Ethka replied, because for the first time in 100 millennia, we are not only remembering, we are becoming. And in the heart of the archive, Lena drew a sun. Then she gave it a name no one had heard before. And the Valari added it to the official records, written in wax and wonder.